Okay, so welcome to my YouTube channel for this Master of the Skies weather briefing show. Today I thought I'd show you an interesting weather situation building up across Europe today on November 21st, 2024. And let's get right into it. Let me show you what's going on. So as you can see here, we're taking a look at the jet stream configuration over Europe at 300 hectopascals or millibars, and you can see these bright white tones delineating the jet stream flow aloft. And this is the case pretty much earlier this evening in Europe. If I sort of scroll backwards, you could see that there's really quite an active jet stream pattern that's actually digging across Western Europe and into Southeastern Europe. And on the backside of that, there's going to be sort of an upper level ridge building into the Western Europe over the weekend. But in the meantime, today here on Thursday, we've had a really strong westerly or west-northwesterly flow aloft with this jet stream, and it's sort of aiding in building a low pressure system at the surface, and that low pressure system really started to develop quite quickly over the just south of the UK and into Brittany over western France with 982 millibars, and now it's moving towards the east, pretty much over Switzerland right now, and with pretty low pressures around 988 or 988 millibars, which is pretty low, and also producing quite a bit of wind, rain, and snow over the country. And so with this trough digging and this jet stream energy, really quite dynamic situation. If we take a look at lower down in the atmosphere, here we're taking a look at the 850 millibar level, about 1,500 meters. And if I go back a little bit in time, taking a look at the situation earlier today, you can see sort of the low pressure system here at the surface and coupled with the winds. And you can see that right now we're really having quite intense winds on the order of 30 to 40, even 50 knots at 850 millibars. And that's delineating just on the southern periphery of the low pressure system. And the 850 low, which is located a little bit further to the north. And typically in this region, just south of this low pressure system where you have a deep low digging, you tend to get what we call sting jets that can really sort of accelerate down to the surface from the lower levels and could produce quite a bit of wind. And that's really what's going on here over sort of south central France and over into western Switzerland right now. If we could take a look at some of the wind gusts that were measured here the last few hours, here in kilometers per hour, you could see some values anywhere on the order from 60 to 70, 80, even close to 90 kilometers an hour. And as this system is really barreling through towards Switzerland, and then will exit out over towards the Balkan region and the Adriatic starting later on tonight and early tomorrow. So quite windy conditions. And also what's interesting, if we take a look also at the surface temperatures and how that's been working out these last few hours, there's a very strong temperature gradient between southern France and western Switzerland and over northern France and Germany and northern Switzerland. And that's delineating really the polar front, and which is overlain by the upper level jet stream that's really, really strong. And so that's where the low pressure sort of developed along that really baroclinic zone with that temperature gradient. And you can see that moving towards the east. And as it turns out, we really have a huge difference in temperature right now between, for example, the Geneva area, where we're having 11 degrees Celsius, and over northern Switzerland, for example, Zurich with -1. So quite impressive. Over about a 300 kilometer distance or 400 kilometer distance, you can see that the temperatures vary from 0 to -1 to 10 to over 10 degrees over the Geneva region. And so you could see that it's actually snowing in this area, and they've gotten about 20 to 40 centimeters of fresh snow over the plain regions over northern Switzerland today, as they're being fed in with some really cold continental air with this northeast flow, which contrasts quite nicely with this south to southwesterly flow over eastern France and western Switzerland, with a lot of much warmer, more maritime tropical air coming up from the west and south. And so that contrast in temperature is having a huge impact on the type of precipitation, with snow turning to rain over western Switzerland and over northern Switzerland, where the temperatures have allowed the precipitation to remain as fully as snow. You could also see that through the different soundings. If we take a vertical sounding over the Geneva area, you can see the temperatures are quite warm, and that the snow levels have risen quite nicely. Whereas if you take a look at the sounding over northern Switzerland, you can see that the whole sounding profile is basically below 0 degrees Celsius, and so all this saturated moisture is falling under the falling as snow here over northern and eastern Switzerland. Now you could also take a look at the radar animation of this low pressure system barreling through. You could sort of see how the low pressure system is wrapping over, and northern Switzerland is basically over the occluded part of the cyclone, whereas western Switzerland and southern France was more in the sort of warm sector that's being sort of pinched off with now the wraparound occlusion that's going to be bringing in rather cooler air even over western Switzerland over the next few hours. What was also kind of interesting is that we've even had some light thunderstorm activity, even if over regions where you had temperatures close to 0 degrees Celsius. So you're basically getting overrunning over this cold air mass at the surface, and that's even causing some elevated convection and maybe even some thundersnow over Fribourg region here on this Thursday evening. So quite interesting indeed. You could also take a look at the enhanced infrared satellite imagery, looking at how this system is evolving or has been evolving over the last few hours. Looking at UMETSAT UMET view, you can also take a look at the water vapor imagery. And if we do that and sort of look at how this low pressure system has been sort of bombing out almost with sort of the dry air moving in, and you could really see the impact of this shortwave trough as this system really has a potential vorticity max and moving through right through France and over western Switzerland now, as we're getting even some winds linked to the sting jet that are moving through. We can also take a look at the air mass RGB from Meteosat second generation, and we could also see if we move back a little bit, and let me animate this as well. You could really see how this system has really tropical air that you can see here with these green tones down to the south, and then these sort of violet tones to the north, indicating a rather cold polar air, and some of these red tones delineating this dry air at upper levels, as we're having a PV anomaly move through as this low pressure system is barreling through the area. And so very dynamic, large temperature gradients, strong jet stream, strong low-level jets, overrunning precipitation with snows changing to rain in some regions, and in other regions staying in the form of snow, with even some thundersnow action going on. So very active in terms of precipitation and wind and temperature contrasts. So there you go. I think that's all I have for you tonight. Just want to show you this active weather situation developing over Western Europe. And until next time, enjoy weather, and I'll talk to you soon.